Rome, AD 410. Smoke curled lazily from incense burners in the Temple of Fortuna, mingling with the desperate prayers of priests. The city was reeling from Alaric's sack, a blow no Roman had imagined possible. Yet something worse was coming. Father Lucanus, high priest of the Collegium Arvalium, dreamt of it nightly, a rider whose shadow blackened rivers and fields alike. This night he awoke screaming. Sweat clung to his robes as he stumbled from his chamber into the temple sanctuary. He collapsed before the altar of Jupiter and gasped out his vision to the others. A storm, from the steppe, cloaked in fire. The rider wears no crown, but all men bow before him. Rome burns not from siege, but from fear. The priests murmured in dread. Prophecies were not uncommon in these dire times, but Lucanus had never spoken one before. In a corner of the sanctuary, unseen behind a pillar, a young boy listened. Attila, only 12, yet he observed everything. A hostage sent by the Huns to secure peace with Rome, he had been living in the court of the Western Empire for 2 years. He knew how to speak Latin better than most centurions. He learned their philosophy, their art of war, their lies. He also learned fear. Despite the marble columns, golden laurel wreaths, and 1,000 gods of Rome, Attila could see the cracks. The empire was crumbling, though none dared admit it. Later that morning, he stood in the imperial gardens beside Decimus, the son of General Flavius Aetius. The boy, older and spoiled, held a wooden sword and grinned arrogantly. "Barbarian," Decimus sneered. "You'll never be more than a savage. You stink of horses and goat meat." Attila stared blankly, then stepped forward. In one fluid motion, he disarmed the boy and struck him across the face with his own blade. Decimus fell hard, lip bleeding, calling out for the guards. "You cry," Attila said softly, in perfect Latin. "We hunt wolves with our bare hands." He didn't smile. He never smiled. That evening, punished and confined, Attila stared through the barred windows at the dying sun over the Tiber. The sky burned red, and in its bloody hue he saw a crown of fire.
The Iron Pact.
Pannonia, AD 434. Snow had fallen in the Carpathians. Black tents flapped like bat wings in the wind. Attila sat on a bearskin, staring at the silent fire. While beside him, his brother Bleda laughed with warriors. Wine spilled freely. Blood had too, earlier that day. Their uncle, King Rua, had died unexpectedly. Some claimed sickness, others whispered poison. Attila said nothing. Bleda, the elder, was content to rule jointly. He enjoyed feasts, coin, and Roman bribes. But Attila studied the stars. He sent envoys not to Rome, but to the Germanic tribes. He spoke to kings not with threats, but with promises. "I offer you this," he said to Armin, a Rugian war chief, one cold night. "A sword in your hand, food in your bellies, and the chance to strike at those who enslaved your fathers." "And what do you want in return?" Attila's eyes gleamed. "When the eagle falls, I want no resistance, only silence." So the Iron Pact was born, an alliance of Gothic, Gepid, Rugian, and Ostrogothic tribes. Bound by blood and vengeance, it waited beneath the surface like a hidden spear. In the spring of that same year, a Hun scout returned with something strange. In a river near the Tisa, after a flash flood, he'd discovered a sword buried in the silt. Rusted at the hilt but still sharp. Attila examined it under moonlight. Its blade bore no symbols, only scars. "A god's weapon," murmured the seer Craker, one of the few Attila trusted. "The sword of Mars." Bleda laughed when Attila presented it. "You'll name yourself emperor next," he jeered. Attila only smiled, for the first time in years. 3 moons later, Bleda was dead. The official tale was a hunting accident. Attila mourned him with solemn dignity, then proclaimed himself sole ruler of the Huns. From the east came silence, from the west, dread.
The flames of empire.
Mosia, AD 447. Villages turned to ash, churches collapsed under the weight of fire. The Eastern Roman Empire, once thought secure behind its golden walls, bled across the Balkans. Attila had come like a storm. His cavalry moved like smoke, appearing without warning, vanishing before retaliation. The Iron Pact marched behind him, a tidal wave of forgotten peoples with nothing to lose. Constantinople trembled. Emperor Theodosius II paid tribute, tons of gold, thousands of slaves. But Attila did not march on the capital. Instead, he stood on a cliff overlooking the Bosphorus, watching the water shimmer like a snake's back. "Why not take it?" asked Eslas, one of his generals. "Because fire burns out faster when it consumes too quickly," Attila replied. "Let them feed the flame." He turned west. In AD 451, he crossed the Rhine. Gaul panicked. Cities emptied before his army even arrived. The Romans rallied. Flavius Aetius, the boy's father, now a hardened general, called upon the Visigoths, Burgundians, and Franks to resist. It was unity born of desperation. At the Catalonian plains, the two armies clashed. Blood turned the soil black. Horses screamed. Steel rained like thunder. Attila did not win, but he was not defeated either. Instead, he retreated, laughing. "Let them think it victory," he told Kreker. "Their hope will become their weakness." In AD 452, he rode south toward Rome itself. No legions stood in his way. Only Pope Leo I, robed in white, met him at the gates. What was said between them remains a mystery. Some say Attila saw a vision of saints beside the Pope. Others say Leo offered gold and tribute once again. Attila turned back. His army, restless, questioned him. "We cannot sack what is already dead," he said. "Rome's strength lies in illusion, but even illusions burn." That night, during the victory feast, the moon was swallowed by darkness. An eclipse. Even Attila's war dogs whimpered.
Ashes in the wind.
Pannonia, AD 453, the night was one of celebration. Attila, conqueror of half the known world, took a new bride, Idillico, a Germanic noblewoman given as tribute. The tent was adorned with red silks, wild flowers, and spears hung upside down, a Hun symbol for peace. Wine flowed, warriors sang songs of death and glory. But in the morning, the warlord was dead. His body was found alone in his tent, blood pooled around his head. No wound, no sign of struggle. Some claimed his nose bled so fiercely he choked in his sleep. Others whispered poison, perhaps by Idillico. Some believed it divine punishment for the desecration of holy lands. Kreker, eyes filled with tears, said nothing. But in her private chamber she burned a single feather, the feather of a raven, taken from a battle years ago. "The storm passes," she whispered, "but the silence after is worse." Attila's funeral was legendary. His warriors rode in wide circles around the burial site, slashing at their faces so that no enemy would know his resting place. Slaves who dug the grave were executed. Gold, silver, and weapons were buried with him. Then came division. His sons argued. His generals defected. The Iron Pact shattered. The vassals he once united turned on each other. The empire he forged in blood turned to dust in a single season. But the prophecy endured. In Rome, Father Lucanus, now old and blind, felt a tremor as news of Attila's death reached the city. "It is not the scourge that ends us," he muttered to his scribe. "It is what follows in his shadow." And far away, in a forgotten village on the steppe, a young warrior picked up a rusted blade from the snow. The sword of Mars gleamed once more.
Like, subscribe, and comment on which Conqueror you want me to do next.